I don't think that it's too much of a stretch to say that in this current year, someone wanting to get into Borges has at least been exposed to the Library of Babel. Is that you? That assumption is going to inform the rest of this video, because there's a lot of different places one can start with any artist. But I think that given what's popular at the moment in terms of Borges' output, and he had a very long career, I think it's important to strike the iron where it's hot. So we're going to go right where your interest is peaked, and then we're going to work around from there. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at his individual collections, which were published during his lifetime, and then we're going to look at some of the books which are available to you as a customer, probably in America, because this is where I picked up all the books that I'm about to show you. But to step out of order really, really quickly, you can't go wrong with the Collected Fictions by Andrew Hurley. It's a pretty thick compendium, and this has the Collected Fictions. It's got the Universal History of Infamy, Ficciones, which includes the Garden of Forking Paths, Artifices, the Aleph, the Maker, Museum in Praise of Darkness, Brody's Report, the Book of Sand, and Shakespeare's Memory. Now that's a huge swath of work and of time. The problem, and I'm pretty sure I know people who've encountered this problem before, is that let's say you pick this one up and you go to the very first page and you start reading, what's the first one? It's like Lazarus, I want to say. Yes, you start reading The Cruel Redeemer Lazarus Morel, which came out in 1935. I would imagine it's probably not going to grab you the way that what you've been exposed to so far has. And so, not to disrespect the early works, again, we're going off of an assumption that I placed at the beginning of this video. I'm not saying that you can't start from the beginning. I'm saying that if the Library of Babel is something that's gotten you, then here's where you're going to start. What I recommend, feel free to tear me apart for this. I might get torn apart for this more than I get torn apart for the girdle video, because the views keep ticking up and I'm waiting for somebody to come in and be like, no, wrong. What you're going to do is you're going to go to Ficciones. You're going to go to the Library of Babel. It's a short story. They're all short stories. You're going to go to the Library of Babel. You're going to read that. After the Library of Babel is the Garden of Forking Paths, which is another excellent story. After that, I recommend you go back to the beginning at Ficciones, which starts at Tlernach Bar, I believe. Yes, it does. Starts with a story called Tlernach Bar Orbis Tertius. Then you're going to read Ficciones all the way through. That's my recommendation. From there, so basically, you have Ficciones, the Aleph, and then you come to the Maker. Here's something very important that you have to know about Borges' life. Ficciones and the Aleph came out in the 1940s. The Maker didn't come out until 1960. In the I think about 1955, Borges was completely blind. The Maker is a huge departure. I don't really know what you call in the preface he refers to it as poetry. This is the format that the Maker takes. I don't know how well you can see that. That's just a small demonstration. Very short. I'm not sure what you would call them. I suppose prose poems. I'd like to do more research about the Maker, actually. I've read it a few times, but I don't know anything about how exactly it was composed. I just know that he couldn't see. I don't know if anybody else likes to do that. You read a book and then you go and learn more about the story of its creation. I always find that fascinating. That in movies, too. But that being said, I don't recommend going straight into the Maker. But you can. I think we can sort of diverge our paths here because they're just going to come back at the end. If you come out of the Aleph wanting more, you're going to go to the Book of Sand. Once you read the Book of Sand, you can come back to the Maker. I would say from there, the rest of his oeuvre opens up. Because now you have the main body of work. You can go back to the beginning. You can go towards the end. Following the Book of Sand, you do have a return to form. There's one of them, I forget which one it is. It might be Brody's Report. He talks about wanting to just do simple stories. And the stories do take on that form. They do sort of remind me of some of the work that he was doing back in History of Infamy. History of Infamy, by the way, are loosely based on true stories. And funnily enough, Borges would later say that he wasn't very fond of History of Infamy. I think he said something about it being the hallmarks of someone attempting to be a writer without actually doing it. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing. I don't think it makes them bad stories, but as a place in the current era, I think it's not the most congruent place to hop in. So just to review, Library of Babel, then Garden of Forking Paths, go back to the beginning, Fictiones all the way through, then the Aleph, then you can either do the Book of Sand or the Maker. First, you can do either the Book of Sand or the Maker, but whichever one you do, be sure to do the other one next. There you go. So these books, so this one comes from Penguin. Penguin also has the Aleph and Other Stories. Now this is actually the Aleph, I want to say this is Aleph and Maker. Yes, it is. So this is his collection, the Aleph, and his collection, the Maker. And this is going to depart from the next book I'm going to show you, because these are the stories which Borges put in the original collection that came out in 1949. It looks like this was actually edited by... These might have the same editor. Well, they have the same translator, so it might be the exact same text. I actually haven't thought about that before. They might be identical texts. So if you can't find this, don't be like, oh my God, I'll never get into it. You're fine. This smaller one, which is cheaper by the way, and has a really cool cover. I love the weird little goblin on the cover. He's so cool, like a little like duck homunculus thing. Part of me is a little conflicted. I'm like, well, do you want to go with the bookish blah blah blah, or do you want to just dive right in? Because this is also an amazing place to hop in. It starts with the Immortal. Oh, that's right. Okay. So this one starts with a story called The Immortal, which is my favorite. Pick your favorite. This next one has a different translator, different publisher. It's from New Directions. This is one called Labyrinths, and the cover is really hard to see because it's like a... it's something. I don't know what this is. Oh, it's like a fun house. A house of mirrors. Welcome, Batman, to my house of mirrors. Yeah, different editors, different translators. Some of the story names are different. Yeah. Okay. So this one's actually got a mixture of nonfiction. There's a few essays in here. This one's not relegated to the collections or the order in which Borges himself published. It starts with Tlernach Bar, then it goes into the Garden of Forking Paths, Pierre Menard, then Library of Babel, Funes the Memorious. Yes, yeah, I knew that. Some of the names are different because it's a different translator. House of Asterion. Ooh, that's a good one. Averroes Church. And then you have a few essays. I think I mentioned earlier I wasn't going to talk about essays, and I'm not going to. But Penguin, I believe it's Penguin. It is Penguin. Okay. So if you're a huge nerd like me who makes too much money, you can grab, there's a third one missing, but Penguin has their collected fictions, collected poetry, and nonfiction. And I want to say there's also a collection of lectures. So that's 4 big fat books just like this that you can own today for the low, low price of $99.99. No, I suppose yes. If you're wanting to learn more about the man and his career, I suppose they're all within recommendation. Me, I'm a short story nerd. I tend to just stick to the fictions. But he was a very interesting guy, and he was extremely smart too. And smart people are interesting. So, I believe that rounds us out. You've probably forgotten everything that I said in the first half of this video. That's fine. If you do go to Borges, I mean, he's not only an incredible writer, but an incredible mind. He wasn't, he was much more philosophical than he gave himself credit, that's for sure. It's hard to, I was thinking about this yesterday. I was jotting down some notes for this this thing right here, and it's funny, I would love to describe him as being surreal and philosophical, but everything behind me is surreal and philosophical, and so I'm going to have to avoid, I'm going to find, for the lifetime of this channel, I'm going to be having to find ways of circumnavigating that, or circumventing those two words, because it's not going to be easy. Jorge Luis Borges. Pick him up. You'll enjoy it.